Let's do something formal. Hello and welcome to I Follow. I'm Mark Griffiths. She's Mia Roberts, and we're going to commentate on a footy match. Wrexham away to Stockport County. Always a buzz in the air for this game, and certainly this time Wrexham stepping slightly into the unknown. Callum Burton in goal and Paul Mullin on the bench. Interesting alterations. And against the Stockport side, well, if you can predict Stockport, then good luck, because they won their last home game in the league 5-0 against Bolton. Good, strong team. And 4 days earlier, they lost 5-0 here to Wycombe Wanderers. So completely unpredictable, just as we like it. Looking forward to this one, Mia?
Yeah, really excited for this one, Mark. Like you say, it's sort of, you don't really know what sort of Stockport County side we're going to get today, but I expect this to be a real tough game for Wrexham. We know how tough it was coming here last season, a really off day for the usual performance we expect that was this time last year, but it was all about the reaction after that game. I think that really helped us last season in many ways to sort of see the levels weren't good enough, and from that point on we really kicked on, and I think that's something Phil Parkinson highlighted towards the end of last season as a real shift in momentum, and probably the type of characters we had in that squad then really proved themselves. So today hoping for obviously a much better result and performance, and obviously a few changes like you say. Obviously sadly Arthur can't be involved after the injury he sustained last week, but Callum Burton's someone who's obviously featured a couple times in the trophy, first league start today, but he's looked impressive, and I think he was brought in to be number 2. He's now got this opportunity to sort of prove why he was brought in and try and make a real good impact, so I'm hoping he can do that today.
Well, exactly. You bring him in for exactly this purpose, so Parkinson probably isn't too fazed by this. He's not finding himself with a backup keeper that he's not sure he can trust, and the early signs of Burton for us have been good. He made his debut at Sheffield United, letting 4 goals, but they weren't his fault, and he saved a penalty and made a string of other good saves, and then he's been playing in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and he's looked very solid indeed. So now he gets to play in the real competition, but he's certainly shown that he's earned this chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely, and I think we got him in before the pre-season tour as well, so he's been here a long time now, so he's been able to gel with those players in front of him. It's not like he's playing with players he doesn't know. He'll know Max, Dan and Tom O'Connor very well, which is so important in that back three, making sure there's a lot of communication between them, and they've got that good relationship. So there's no worry about that. I think that's something that's so important. And then obviously moving forward on the pitch, Bodvarsson obviously getting his first league start today as well. I think it's a big call by Phil Parkinson, but probably one that had to be made at some point. And I think even Paul Mullin will say that. I think there's only so long you can sort of live off previous performances. I think you've got to go in the here and now in this league. It's so competitive, and you've got to play people who are in form. And if you said this time last season that Jack Marriott would be out and Paul Mullin still can't get in the squad, I think you'd have a lot of people with their jaws dropping. But Bodvarsson, fair play to him since he's come in. I know he still hasn't got that goal, but I think he's looked very impressive, very sharp, considering he's a player who hadn't had that pre-season.
So a slightly strange sight here now, as the teams come out one after the other. Don't usually see that, do you? It must be it is a narrow tunnel, isn't it? So I guess that's why. So Wrexham come out to boos, and then Stockport to cheers. Yeah, the Bodvarsson decision is a really interesting one, but you can see he's got quality. It's just whether he's up to speed yet, I think. The Wrexham side then, as we we're saying, Callum Burton is in goal. The back three, Max Cleworth, Tom O'Connor and Dan Scarr. On the right-hand side will be Ryan Barnett. On the left-hand side will be James McLean. In midfield, George Dobson anchors Elliot Lee and Andy Cannon, and up front Ollie Palmer is joined by Jon Daddy Bodvarsson. On the bench, Mark Howard, Owen O'Connell, Paul Mullin, Ollie Rathbone, Mo Farrell, Seb Revan and Matty James. And Stockport make one change from the side, which hammered Bolton 5-0, and it's enforced. Ibu Toure has been called up by Gambia, so he's off on international duty. Ethan Pye comes in at centre-back for Stockport. So they line up with Ben Hinchcliffe in goal. Callum Connolly, Fraser Horsfall and Pye at the back. The wing-backs, who I want to talk to about in a minute, Macaulay Southern Hales and Ryan Rydell. In the middle of midfield is Ollie Norwood, and Lewis Bate, and then supporting the strikers in a kind of box midfield, Will Collar on the right and Louis Barry on the left. Kyle Wootton up front. Corey Adai, Sam Hughes, Tanto Olafe, who's got a hat-trick of goals against us last season. Jaden Fevrier, Lewis Fiorini, Odin Bailey and Tayo Adaramola are the subs for them. And well, they've got the top scorer in the division and maybe the outstanding player in the division in Louis Barry. They've got a battering ram in Kyle Wootton, and they've got good wing backs who are coming back from long stretches off injuries. But they're an intriguing side, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a really good side, and obviously some of the names there people recognise from a few years gone by. They've obviously made a lot of interesting recruitment over the last season or so. I think they've gone for that sort of youth model, which sort of shows their ambition going forward long term, that they're going to build a squad that's going to last. And they're bringing in players who, just look at their captain Lewis Bate. He's only 22 years old and he's been given that armband, been fully trusted. He's a player of really good quality, formerly of Leeds and Chelsea's academy, I believe. But they've made some really good acquisitions, Stockport, and just look at being able to get Louis Barry back in on loan. I think that was a massive statement to the rest of the league that they have got that pulling power, and I think he's the real one to watch today. But obviously already on 10 goals so far this season. He's absolutely on fire, and I think after this season I think he'll be looking way above League One.
So here we go, Botherson and Palmer are on the ball. The referee Thomas Kirk just having a look around, see everything is okay, and we're about to get cracking. The atmosphere is fantastic. You can't see a spare seat in the house, and let's see if this isn't 5-0 one way or the other. As away we go, Botherson pops it back. Cleworth now on the right hand side, sets himself, drives it long for Palmer. Actually put it down the flank, and Barnett just beaten in the air by Rydell. Throw to Wrexham, about 20 yards out, quickly taken back to the halfway line to Cleworth. Wrexham up against, like I say, a Stockport side with erratic form, but clearly with the capabilities to hurt you. O'Connor goes long into the edge of the area, and Palmer gets ahead of his man, helps it onto Bodvarsson, who tries an overhead kick, doesn't really get hold of it, and Rydell chests it back with a confident start.
Yeah, early signs of that partnership linking up. Obviously Bodvarsson's first start alongside Ollie up top there, but Ollie does really well what he does so well. We've seen it so many times, just brings that ball down and it falls to Bodvarsson, who absolutely has an audacious attempt on goal, almost pulled it off.
Yeah, it's unlucky as well for Palmer that it just wouldn't quite drop kindly for him, because there was a bit of a hole in the middle of Stockport's defence, which he might have exploited as McLean now launches it long. Bothersson's after it, defenders let it bounce, and Bothersson's scrapping away, and Cannon latches onto it, edge of the area, pulls it back for Barnett. Good start this by Wrexham. Barnett now slows things down, Cannon takes over, pops it back to Cleworth again. The big men are at the far post, and sensibly Cleworth drops it in there. Botherson touches it on, it goes just beyond Palmer and is smashed away by Southern Hales. Well won in the air by Scar. Lee picks it up on the halfway line. Wrexham continuing to dominate the early stages of this game. Lee drives down the left, prods it forwards. Nice layoff by Palmer. McLean back to Lee. Fluent passing this by Wrexham. Stockport having to keep their shape. As Scar now, he stands up the diagonal. Palmer again backing on, flicking it on beautifully, and McLean taken out off the ball. That should be a yellow card, frankly, shouldn't it, really, because McLean was in on goal.
Yeah,
and it is.
It is a yellow, which shows that we can really get at that left-hand side now with James McLean. But again, just straight away in this game, we're still under, just gone over the first 2 minutes, and already we're utilising our two strikers, a bit more height today with Bodvarsson alongside Ollie Palmer, and they've started ever so well. We're really hitting that long ball, testing that back line of Stockport so far this game. It's a real good opportunity early on with this set piece.
Yeah, it's a really fast start, isn't it? 3 balls into the edge of the area, and our strikers have won all of them. And now this free kick almost level the edge of the area, left hand side. Tom O'Connor to take. Rydell just checking over his shoulder because Cleworth's on his blind side beyond the far post. O'Connor waits for the go ahead. Referee's just keeping an eye on a bit of shoving involving Scar, as O'Connor rips it in nicely. Firm header clear though, to the relief of the Stockport fans. Dobson Flicks it back out wide as it looks like an injury to Bate, although Stockport have claimed it back easily. Driven over the top by Collar, and a mistouch by at the back puts Wrexham under pressure. Dobson, who was guilty of it, throwing in the end goes Stockport's way after a great recovering tackle. But Bate, well, he seems to be moving better now. He was on the floor a second ago. Just looked to pull something. Yeah,
he just looked like he pulled up. I think he is all right. But it was just a little bit of sloppy play from Wrexham. We just don't really make much of the set piece on the free kick. County get first contact, and then we just can't quite get that pass in. Tom O'Connor it is who gives it away in the end, and then George Dobson as well. Just needs to be careful on that transition.
Throw in taken. Southern Hales pushing it down its side, but McLean should be able to run that behind. Oh, he hasn't. He's beaten to it. Good cover by O'Connor, but the cross comes in. Scar gets it clear. Lovely touch by Bate. Cannon gets a foot in, but Stockport's first spell of real pressure. This ball works out wide. Colin now. Chance to cross. Pulls it in much too close to Callum Burton. Gets his first touch of Wrexham in the league. And the danger passes for now.
Yeah, and a bit of a breather from what's been a real intense first 4 minutes or so. Both sides, already had a couple of chances. Wrexham probably started the better, but Stockport there just showing, they've got that quality when they go forward as well.
Big kick by Burton. Palmer underneath that. It flicks off a defender, and now Botherson's done well to get there, and he's chopped down by Horsfall. He claimed he got the ball, but he certainly didn't. He came in late there. He'd be lucky to evade the yellow card.
Yeah, I think he has just probably evaded it.
Yeah.
Maybe because of that early one on the other side that Southam received. But I have to say, these Ollie Palmer and John Daddy Bodvarsson have started really well. They look really sharp, the pair of them. Just again, Bodvarsson just getting that touch away from his man, drawing in the foul. Brilliant. It's exactly what you want in your strikers, and I think, oh no, he has actually shown him the yellow. That's two of their back five now have been booked. Really good start for Wrexham.
After 5 minutes, interesting. I've got to say, for me, although the Stockport fans are furious, it was a cut and dried yellow card. He dived in late. Botherson got past him. He took his legs. Botherson was running free down the flank. And, well, I do like referees who will just give a yellow card for the yellow rather than say, oh, it's the first half hour, I'll let you off. So 2 Stockport defenders, like you say, on a booking. Elliot Lee with the free kick on the right-hand side, about 30 yards out. Stockport trying to hold a high line outside the box. Can Lee drop it in behind them? He curls it in, and McLean, well, heads it towards goal, but he did well to get the leverage head towards goal. And now an early kick over the top is a great idea, and Barry is battling away. Crucial tackle by Dobson. Stockport fans shouting for a foul. It certainly wasn't. But Dobson did ever so well there, as Barnett now goes direct. Palmer won't get to that, headed away by Connolly. Cleworth with an awkward bounce, but luckily for him, Barry's come back from an offside position and can't challenge. That's a derby. It feels like one, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and you've just seen a clear example of the threat Louis Barry holds. Just that pace on that breakaway. Straight away, as soon as the ball landed to Hinchcliffe, he was on his bike. And to be fair, the Wrexham defenders did really well to make sure they blocked that run and make sure they got to the ball first.
Here's Scar now in the middle of Wrexham's defence, driving through the middle, another diagonal, looking for McLean. I think Palmer felt he was offside. He didn't challenge for it. Connolly knocks it long, headed clear again. Brave header by Connolly. Referee penalises Bothersson for a high boot. Little harsh, as Connolly was virtually on his knees heading it, but hey. The thing I've been thinking about before the match then is that they lose 5-0. They've been playing 4 at the back. Dave Challoner, the manager, usually plays 3. He switched back to 3 and they win 5-0, but he did that by bringing back Southern Hales, first started the season as right wing back, who has been out injured since February, and Ryan Rydell, the left wing back, first start since in 14 months he's been out injured. So now they made a huge difference. They lasted an hour, by which time Stockport were 4-0 up. Have they got the legs to cope with Barnett and McLean? Well, Southern Hales already on the yellow. It'd be fascinating to see that battle unfold. As that's a poor pass by Bate, throw to Wrexham in their own half. But yeah, it's a long time for both wing backs to be out. And playing as a wing back, you know as well as anyone, if it puts a lot of strain on you, you're covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, you certainly do. I mean, we see that no less in this Wrexham side, how important have our wing-backs been so far just this season. Never mind, looking back previous seasons as well. They're so important in this Phil Parkinson system. And I think, I can't even imagine if Ryan Barnett and James McLean were missing right now, to be honest. I know we've got good cover, but the form, particularly, obviously, Ryan Barnett's in. He's been so important for us so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see him up against Rydell, the Stockport half, as much as we can. As bringing it out from the back is Pye, and he works it back across the back four. Botherson just putting a little bit of pressure on, but Stockport pretty much being allowed to move the ball about in their own half. Ball's popped back by Norwood, and they're trying to draw Wrexham out. Wrexham aren't really having it. The two strikers are blocking passing lanes, but we're not over-committing here as the ball's fed down the flank. Awkward and Cleworth as well to put out of play. We pressed very hard in that 5-0 defeat for the first 20 minutes, and it was working. And then pretty much the first time they got past the press, they scored. That's lovely feet going forwards, and a nice touch by Red Allen to the box. Strong defending though by Scar, who launches it clear down the flank, and Palmer's fighting to get there. Two Stockport players collide with each other. Throw to Wrexham, Cannon takes quickly. Botherson, lovely touch to Palmer, but his touch lets him down. Difficult one on the run, and he can't keep it in.
No, nice idea though, and Andy Cannon straight away, as soon as that ball goes out, wants to get that start again. You can see Wrexham really try and keep that intensity when they, get that opportunity for the counter. They've obviously spotted something there, maybe that's where Stockport could be exposed.
Ball worked over to Pye. Nice to be able to say Pye on a regular basis in a game. Ball back then to Horsfall, the centre back on the yellow already. Stockport building patiently. Cannon closes down, blocks Pye's pass, throwing the halfway line. Remember, you can get in touch using the hashtag AskWrexham, ASKWXM, on Blue Sky or Twitter. It's very cramped here, so I think we'll probably have to use them through half time. I apologise. But yeah, there's not much desk space here. As here now is the ball in midfield. Bates, neat little bit of passing play to work the ball wide. Pye dinks it down the channel. Cleworth should get there ahead of his man. Squeeze it down the line. Barnett does well to keep it in. Palmer can't get to it first ahead of Norwood though. But Wrexham managed to bring the ball down. Cleworth launches it though. And Botherson does well to make a challenge on that. Connolly wins it. Stockport's trying to get some possession until Norwood tries to ping the ball across. Gets it wrong. Barnett gets a little lucky, but he's fed it down the flank now. And Palmer will put Horsfall under pressure. The centre-back does well. Back to his keeper, who drills it straight at us. Oh, man. Hit the roof of the stand, unfortunately, instead of us. I thought we were going to put a towering header in and see if Parky spotted it. Barnett then, with the throw. Cannon says use one of the strikers. He does, down the line to Palmer. The ball's repelled by the Stockport defence. Cannon fighting to win it back, but he only finds Bates, and he feeds Wotton, who's isolated up front, but holds it up and brings in Norwood now. Norwood down the right flank, looking for the pace of Southern Hales, and of course he has great pace, but he's not going to keep that in. Throw to Wrexham deep in our own half. But that's what we've got to watch out for. Those two wing-backs are dynamite.
Yeah, I think, obviously we know how well we go forward with our wing-backs. We've just got to make sure on that transition when Stockport do get it, if they look to do it quickly, that we are being careful. Especially, I'd be, a bit more cautious probably on this, on Stockport's left-hand side with Louis Barry as well. I think, you can't maybe leave Max one-on-one with him too many times, and that obviously forces Ryan Barnett to maybe get back a bit more than he'd like to.
That's very true, as the ball's played into that area long, looking for Barry, and it is Barnett doing the covering, heading it partly clear. Dobson can't win the duel, but Cannon can. And now here he is on the right, feeding it over the top. He was hoping Palmer would be making a run in behind Pye, but he wasn't. And it's keeper's ball. Wrexham are looking to get the ball forwards quite early, it seems to me. At the back, no, not looking to sort of build patiently, looking to play it in when the wing backs are high. Here's Pye. Back inside, Bates in midfield. Wrexham with everyone behind the ball in a mid-block, and it's spun nicely to the right. Norwood picking out Southern Hales' first chance to run at McLean. Now shows too much of the ball to him. Good tackle. Throw to Stockport by the corner flag. Right-hand side. Norwood is offering, but it's going to be left for Callum Connolly. And he throws it into Norwood. He's allowed a little bit of space. Back to Connolly. Drills in the cross of the far post. Barnett heads it clear. 50-50. Rich Dobson does well to reach, but it's intercepted by Pye, who works it over to the right-hand side. Good pressure this from Stockport. Can they break through the Wrexham defence, though? It's a neat little turn again by Southern Hales, and the ball shifted quickly across to Rydell. In a narrow position, Barry is outside. He receives it now, level the edge of the area. Running up Barnett, comes inside, squeezes it back to base. Great pressure. Wrexham got everyone in and around the box. Long range shot comes in from Connolly. It's blocked by O'Connor. Cross comes in, and an acrobatic attempt by Wootton doesn't work. He tries another overhead kick, puts it wide, but good pressure. That's what Stockport can do, really hem you in, and they move the ball around quickly themselves.
Yeah, and you were saying about Wrexham, you know, when we've got the ball, we've looked to hit that sort of long ball quickly and sort of really force that attack, whereas Stockport get the ball in Wrexham's half and have been a lot more patient, but like you say, have moved it quickly, which, you know, can cause problems at the back for Wrexham when we get moved around, you know, and, you know, this sort of shape gets shuffled. But again, you know, they actually get a couple of good chances. Wootton actually gets the opportunity to, like you say, Mark, to get 2 acrobatic attempts away. I think Max does really well on the first, and I think it's Andy Cannon on the second.
But yeah, we've got to be alert as Stockport knock it long. O'Connor wants it to go behind, but it hasn't got the legs, so he turns away from Wootton and drives it long. Bothersson underneath it, beaten in the air by Connolly. Ball played back neatly off balance by Norwood into his own half. Yeah, we just got to be careful, haven't we, when they're knocking the ball around like that. We can't afford to forget our responsibilities individually. They've got to remember their shape, remember what they have prepared for, and not get dragged about by the quick movements of the ball. It's Pye into midfield. The 2 strikers again putting pressure on their men and forcing it backwards, but here is Pye now floating it forwards, and that's Burton's ball. Burton, he's got plenty of experience. He's got plenty of experience in the Championship. He certainly shouldn't be fazed by this. And has started his Wrexham career well, of course, as he's going to go long. Wootton's just lurking on the edge so he can't drop the ball on the floor. He's taking a turn as he Burton with the ball in his hands. Finally releases it. Bothersson gets up. Good header away by Pye. Wootton coming back from an offside position. So it's a free kick to Wrexham. Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup between 2 teams who have been, you know, at each other for about 3 years now, challenging for promotion off and on. Good rivalry developing between us. Scar with the free kick. Stockport holding a fairly high line as is played in for Palmer. Resting of Pye wins that well. Good defending by Horsfall to just get there ahead of Bothersson. Cleworth back in. Bothersson jumping. Horsfall gets on top of him and wins it, but Cannon finds Barnes. Early cross. Too much on it. McLean will keep it in on the left. Lee is in support. Here's Lee now, corner of the box. Neat ball with the outside of his foot looking for Palmer, but he can't take it in. He loves that little shaped ball into that pocket on the left side of the box, and then he runs on for the return ball, doesn't he? Pye lofting it long. Scar accelerating, goes well to get there and head it out of play. He didn't want it to bounce through. So throw in, taken quickly. Pye, 30 yards out. Works it across to Norwood. The switch then to Connolly. Southern Hales now on the right, back to the halfway line. Wrexham slowly coming out. Stockport want to create gaps between the lines, and Redfield did just step up a bit further than the defence was willing to for a moment, but they're back in a nice comfortable shape now. Distances look good as Stockport move it on the back. Norwood, a good user of the ball, feeds it to Connolly. Southern Hales 10 yards into his own half, little give and go, but Bate is conservative and plays it backwards instead. So a high-paced start at the 18th minute. Oh, we've had 3 speculative overhead kicks towards goal. 1 by Bothers and 2 by Wootton in the same move. Keeper's not troubled yet. Again, Bate in midfield is able to cross the halfway line, but Wrexham and the good mid-block is a run over the top. It's used as a decoy, and the switch is played to Rydell, who's got Barnett isolated. Pulls it back to Pye. Stockport creeping their way further into Wrexham's half. Bate rolling it square. Pye wide again. Barry's movement is something Wrexham have to watch so closely. This time Stockport go back to the halfway and start again. Bate once more clips a poor ball forwards, and it's Burton's. Bate just sitting in that position in front of the back four and just waiting for the ball to come back to him and linking everything up.
Yeah, again, it's it's nice possession by Stockport, but it doesn't really cause Wrexham any problems. The shape is really good. We've seen it so many times now away from home against good possession teams, and they actually, not many times have they actually hurt us and caused us problems and managed to actually get a shot off on goal. So I don't think Phil Parkinson will be too troubled by what he's seen so far in this game.
Absolutely. As Dobson is penalised, Wootton was a bit cute, turned into him, bought the free kick, but the ref's right to give it, to be fair. I'm not dissenting. Free kick in midfield then, about 35 yards out, taken quickly. Bate across again to Southern Hales, but Wrexham again have got their defensive shape and are happy to allow Stockport to move the ball around in front of us and be patient. Connolly. Ball comes across again to Pye, who has been the out ball really when they've been coming out from midfield, from defence rather. Stockport moving it around patiently. Barry, good tackle by Cannon, who's been lively on Bodvarsson with the return pass, and Cannon is pulled to the ground, and that's got to be another yellow, surely, yeah. I mean, the Stockport fans are going mad, but how can you argue against any of that? Cannon again was round the back of the defence. Barry grabbed his shirt and pulled him to the floor, and the referee does the obvious.
Yep, and you can see that's going to be the plan. Like I was saying, if Stockport are going to just hold on to possession in the middle of the park, eventually with Wrexham's excellent defensive shape, they'll probably force that error, and that's what happens. Andy Cannon gets on the break and he's pulled down, running into goal. So it has to be a foul, obviously, and then subsequently a yellow card. I think that's fair.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'd be livid if he didn't give a yellow for that. And all three of them are cast iron yellows in my book. So, free kick on the right-hand side for Elliot Lee. Another chance for him to rip one in from that sort of area. Stockport holding a line outside the box. Lee signals. Referee finally gives him the go-ahead. Lee stands up to the far post. Scar heads it on, gets too much on it. Goes wide behind for a goal kick. But yeah, I mean, they're all yellows. I love the people at the front going nuts. I know football fans are completely biased, fair enough. But how can you argue against that? Here's Cannon, who's getting booed now. Of course, ex-Stockport player. Bodvarsson chasing after this, and Pye decides to keep it in. Digs out a clearance. Cleworth wins a header well, and Lee's got a bit of space here, 30 yards out. Brings it down and prioritises possession, going back to O'Connor, who drives forwards. McLean now. O'Connor's gone beyond him. McLean stands in an early ball. That's a poor ball. No near anyone except the keeper. Hinchcliffe takes the catch. Only his second start of the season, but he has made more appearances and goal for Stockport than any other keeper in their history. So, club legend being given his chance back in the side. They bought Corey Adai, of course, in the summer. Ball's cutely clipped for us by Pye, but not accurately. Cleworth there to intercept. Barnett can't keep it though. Square to Bates. Dobson puts him under pressure. Bates plays a little 1-2 and then shifts it out to the right hand side. Wrexham though keeping their shape. Lee forcing Connolly to go past backwards. It's Pye now. Two wide centre backs to stop it, and the ball. That's a poor pass by Red Al though. Intercepted. Bodvarsson is penalised for a challenge on Pye. Free kick. Bates now squares it to Connolly. Still Wrexham, like you said, Mia, keeping it tight and just keeping their shape, letting Stockport pass it around. Again, Bates here in that position on the front edge of the centre circle in Wrexham's half, but he's finding space there. He's not necessarily finding teammates when he turns. He's having to go backwards half the time.
Yeah, and I think centre back for Stockport County, Horsfall, saying, I need a bit more movement in front of me when I'm on that ball. I'm sort of looking up and only seeing red shirts. But that's just credit to Wrexham's shape, that, you know, when they step together and make sure that press is done properly.
And also, while Dave Chandler was shouting down the line about a minute ago to Louis Barry, he seems a bit more central. In fact, he's found a ball between the lines here. Lovely feet to hold on to possession as Wrexham's midfield, all three of them recovered and swarmed round him. And as played out wide, Pye squares it. Now Norwood can help her on quickly. Instead, he beats Elliot Lee. Lovely play. Feeds the ball to Connolly. Oh, the pass a bit too wide. He was hoping to get a shot off, but he was forced wide by that. He gets a cross in, and it's Barnett covering behind the centre-backs, but the shot comes in, and it's blocked. Is that a handball? Ref says no. Dobson with a big block. Shot by Larry. Oh, what a goal! What a goal by Louis Barry. His 11th of the season. He's a class act, and, well, you don't save those whether you're Arthur Okonkwo or Callum Burson, do you?
No, it's a great strike. We're talking about him pre-match, you know, saying he's the one you've got to watch. And I think just these last few minutes, like I think you pointed out, Mark, he's dropped a bit more centrally, and the ball just falls to him. It's not a great clearance by Barnett, but he can't do much about it. Then the strike comes in. It's a great block by Dobson initially. I don't think it's handball. And then it's a beautiful finish, just guides it into that far right-hand corner. He is on fire this season for Stockport.
He's such a class act, isn't he? They've got a replay on the screen here. The fans gasping as they see it. Brilliant goal. And Louis Barry, top scorer in the division, has got another one. Wow. But he is such class. Of course, he's the guy who had all that viral footage when he was signed as a tiny little kid by Barcelona, of course. He went back to Britain, to Aston Villa. He's on loan here, and, well, absolutely superb that. Now, from the restart, Palmer can't get the ball past Pye. Cleared long. Scar clears. Barnett round the corner, inaccurate. Wrexham need to get Barnett in attacking positions. They've only got him up there, once or twice so far. The Stockport knock it long. Although they weren't threatening, but the problem is with a player of the quality of Barry, he can cut in and he can score from outside the box with ease. Cleworth feeding it forwards. Palmer being manhandled by Pye. Mind you, he had hold of Pye's shirt as well. Stockport man comes out on top. Pye works it wide. Nice early ball to Rydell. Good tackle by Dobson. But Rydell intercepts again. Finds Wotton. Wotton out wide to Barry. He's got a chance to win a Barnett now. Stockport's tail's really up. He goes outside then in and shows too much to Cleworth, who launches it away again. Palmer and Pye wrestling with each other. Free kick goes against Palmer to his anger. But wow, the Stockport fans are really livened up now.
Yeah, they've gone up. It's gone, you know, a different level in here after that goal, and it was a great goal. Full credit to Louis Barry. But I just think, you know, it's sort of on that second, third phase where you think Wrexham have cleared it and again, and then it just falls. And I mean, I'm yet to see the replay, but not sure whether maybe we can get a bit closer to Louis Barry. It's a great finish. I'm not taking anything away from it. But yeah, just interesting now to see Wrexham's reaction.
Yeah, when you have a block like that by Dobson and a penalty shout, do people maybe switch off a tiny bit and think, okay, we've dealt with that, but we hadn't. So throw into Wrexham in our own half. Yeah, Challoner was just shouting down line about a minute before that goal to Barry. And in the build-up, certainly he was more narrow, whether that's what he was saying to him. I suspected he was just Barry was quite wide from early on. And I just wondered whether he was getting him to come narrow to give Rydell space to come down the flank. But, well, coming narrow works in a different way, as he is a Scar with a header. And then with another challenge, throw goes Wrexham's way again. But we're not getting the possession, we're not getting the ball down and penning him in like we did in the opening, 5 minutes?
No, and I don't think that's the way we necessarily play away from home or even at home. I think, you know, people who expect that maybe, you know, sort of, you shouldn't with this side and the way we play under Phil Parkinson, but we've still got that quality and we can hurt teams in our own way. And I think just because maybe the way we play at times isn't the most beautiful thing to watch, the results speak for themselves. We can grind out results.
It's a quick and possible foul throw by Rydell, but Barry receives and goes in a lovely run across the front of Wrexham's defence. His pass doesn't pick his man out though. No, you're quite right. We've got the threats to hit them on the break. But when you go goal down, it makes that solid defence. Well, you know, we're not defending a point at the moment, and at some point, well, I don't know, does it have to change? Not yet. But yeah, we need to dig in here, I think, as Stockport are getting going. Connolly on the halfway line. Horsful. Pye has space to run into. And he clips it between the lines again for Barry, who's really looking threatening now. Right out into Bates. He gets another bite at the pass. Barry now digs out a good pass to Bates, and Bates turns inside past Cannon a bit easily. Sweeps it across to the right-hand side. Ball's helped on quickly. Southern Hale's been allowed space by McLean to cross if he wants to. But he wants to link up instead. Here is Bates now, 25 yards out. Collar round a corner. Chance for a cross from Connolly, which he takes. Dealt with well by Scar. Although Bates will put it back in there. They're getting to all the second balls. And okay, maybe that's partly because we've got our defence. We've got so many numbers defending our area, but we need to start winning second balls. Here's another chance for Connolly to cross. And this is a poor delivery by him. Whoa, I haven't said that. He nearly fluked a goal. Burton had to be sharp to palm it over the bar.
Yeah, Callum Burton does well in the end to just keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't creep in for what would have been a bit of a howler on his part, but does well. But I just think since that goal, we just look a bit like we've dropped off, which is a bit of a worry because it gives Stockport a lot more room to hurt us in our own half. And I just think we've got to be careful that we don't let them, get another one, and then it's almost not game over, but you're making things very difficult for yourself.
Absolutely right. Yeah. We're rather holding on here at the moment, just defending our box. This will be an in-swinger from the left-hand side. And it's swept in, far post, nasty ball in that. Goes behind the referee, I assume, is given a goal kick. Yeah, he didn't signal for anything. Stockport wanted a penalty. It looked a hopeful shout to me, but the ref didn't signal for anything. I started to wonder, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, there were a lot of appeals, so I'll have to watch it back and see. I was more focused on, I thought Callum Burton had completely misread the flight of the ball. But I think there was a lot of tugging on shirts, nothing too major for me.
Dobson flicks on the goal kick, but it's headed back into the Wrexham half by Riddell, and Cleworth mishits the ball, throw into Stockport, 15 yards short of the halfway line. Like I said, we will get round to our Wrexham, but we may be looking at a half-time more because there's not much space on the press desk here. Ball thrown down the line, Cleworth heads it away. Throw again to Stockport in the Wrexham half, just before the halfway line. Pye with the ball in his hands. The 3 yellows the Stockport's already had has had the effect of the Stockport fans really screaming for any contact, asking for a free kick. As Pye throws it down the line, helped on by Wootton. Cleared by Scar. Palmer lays it down. Lee over the top, but Buthersong can't turn because Horsfall had hold of him. He's finally able to chase Connolly, but he brings it down neatly and plays it back to his keeper.
Yeah, just in those situations there, I think Elliot Lee's just got maybe a little bit more time. If we can just look up and maybe look to find Ryan Barnett out wide, or switch it the other side to someone like James McLean. Just always going a bit too central, a bit too long, which works sometimes, but I think you just got to mix it up and just try and find a bit of variety, because I think at the moment Stockport sort of know what to expect every time we get on the ball. Yeah,
I totally agree. I feel that, okay, maybe they've seen something in Stockport and they feel that making early runs behind him will work, as Boverson makes an excellent tackle in midfield. The ball chipped back down the line for him. He takes it well, but he isn't fouled, and he's holding the bottom of his back as the ball is cleared. Barnett does well to resist the challenge from Rydell. Knock it over top. Boverson is still struggling as Palmer, offside given. Didn't think he was offside there, I've got to say. I think he didn't quite win the race, but Boverson looks hurt, doesn't he? He's up looking to continue, but he's struggling. Yeah, I just felt that pass by Elliot Lee, though, felt more like he didn't bother to look. He just knocked her over the top. He's a better player than that.
Yeah, and that's what can happen when you play against these sort of teams who pin you back, and you sort of find yourself just desperate to get on the ball for a minute, and second you do, there's that little bit of panic and you just want to clear it and clear your lines, and I think that's a bit of what it was. And like you say, he's got that composure normally to sort of find that pass and keep us a bit of possession for a bit of time.
Ball over the top to Test O'Connor. He wanted to run it behind again, and he's failed to, and this is real danger. Cannon will call over the shot, deflected across the face. O'Connor did not deal with that well, and luckily a block came in as Collar hit it from 6 yards out, wide of the 6 yard box. Yeah,
it's one of those, as a defender, you just want it to roll out and it just sort of sits up. And fair play to Stockport, they do really well to keep it alive. And it's Dan Scar who gets a really good block in, and you're just thinking, please don't fall to the back of that net. But it's Collar who works really hard, does really well to get that ball, force it in, and Dan Scar, brilliant block, brilliant defending.
Yeah, great work by Scar. Lucky for Wrexham that he got that block in. But now we have to defend another corner. We defend it easily, headed away at the near post. Barry sweeps it back in towards the penalty spot, headed towards goal. Good save by Burton. Double save by Burton. Defied two centre-backs there. Pye got up really well and headed it on goal. Burton did very, very well to block that. It was heading right in the bottom corner. And then the rebounds dropped kindly for Connolly, and he wrapped it in. Brilliant double save.
Yeah, well done, Callum Burton. It's a great save, the first one, but then the second one for me is even better. I'm thinking 2-0, and he does really well to react.
Yeah, sorry, Horsfall it was with the second one. Header in towards goal again from the next corner, but it's weak and wise, and Burton keeps it in. Yeah, that first save was terrific. It was really well placed. They had to go full stretch to push it away, and it was a tight angle, but a great chance for Connolly, and Burton did brilliantly to make himself big, get the block on it behind for the corner. Botherson seems to be moving all right, okay, after that bang he took when he fell. He's just trying to make a run over the top. Scar's played it for Palmer instead, who jumps, beating into it in the air. And it's Bates, with the ref maybe in his way. Cannon snapping at him. Bates gives it away. Cleworth did well to intercept. He prods it forwards and it'll be smashed out of play by Pye. Throw to Wrexham. A rare chance for us to look right. And actually see Wrexham going forwards here. We haven't done much of that in the last 20 minutes. Barnett with the ball in his hands. Referee says he's stealing yards. He's about 30 yards out. Puts it back to the halfway line anyway, so Cleworth. Like to see a bit of possession just to settle us down here a bit. As Scar is looking long, but in the end, Wrexham keep it short at the back. O'Connor in his own half, drives up to the halfway line. McLean is outside him and receives it. And Wrexham again just looking to draw Stockport forwards. Scar back to McLean now on the left-hand side. O'Connor please it into the feet of Botherson. Cute idea around the corner. And a good interception by Connolly. Stockport have possession back. It's lifted over the top by Bates. That's a great ball for Barry on the left. Cleworth comes across to deal with him. Barry, little step overs, rolling his foot over the ball, pulls it back. Riddell delivers. Good clearance again by Scar. Botherson gets it well to flick that on. Palmer will get there first. He's isolated on the halfway line. Holds it up well, finds Barnett. Square to Dobson, who fakes to go one way then the other, and he beats Bates. But Palmer and Cannon rather left it for each other. Free kick given as Palmer pulls his man down. And he had little promising little moments like that, but then it breaks down. That's how it's going at the moment.
Yeah, Dobson actually did the hard bit. He beats Bate. Really nice little body feint to get past him, and then sort of Palmer and Bodvarsson, I think it was, just sort of in the same spot and just don't really put a name on the ball.
Ball forwards by Barnett is inaccurate, and it's a nice lay off by Collar. Barry, they're moving on quickly to the edge. Ellie Wootton, under hits his return pass. Barry nicks it from Cleworth in the box though, and goes down too late. Well, Cleworth stuck his leg out there. Barry rode the challenge and then realised he wasn't going to get there and hit the deck. And the ref, I thought, did very well to see that was what happened and not give the penalty. It's Stockport slowing it down at the back. Pye working it back inside. I mean, it was a really dangerous dangling of the foot by Cleworth.
Yeah, as soon it's Cleworth and Barnett, I think, who actually stick a leg out. Louis Barry, the speed where he can sort of move the ball, it's almost frightening, and I think you've got to be so careful in those situations, particularly in the penalty box, obviously, that he doesn't just sort of play on that a little bit and sort of draw in that foul, which could obviously get him the penalty.
He was too honest for his own good, wasn't he? He rode the challenge and then thought, I should have dived there. And did it too late. At the moment, probably Wrexham's most effective players are Scar, repelling constant balls in, and Botherson for his pressing, frankly. As Cannon looks for Botherson, he's unlucky, difficult take. Nearly managed it. Ricochet favours Riddell, who gets it back to his keeper. Yeah, Botherson's working his socks off, pressuring Stockport defenders. As the ball's worked out to the right hand side to Connolly. Stockport again moving it about in their own half. It's A real slowing down of the pace here by Stockport now, as Wrexham have a fairly high block. Base turns, lifts over the top, and if the flag stays down, which it does, Rydell is going to cause problems here. He hits the goal line, stands in a cross, headed away well again by Scar. Volley comes in just over. Great technique that. It was Norwood, and he struck it so cleanly, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's Ollie Norwood for you, ex-Premier League quality. That's what players of that level can do, make it look so easily. It's beautiful technique, brings it down, and you're just thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to be 2-0 and it's 2 screamers. But to be fair, just goes over the bar.
Yeah, great effort that. Really looks to control it. Cannon over the top, Buthers on the chase, it's headed out of play. The only positive I'm feeling at the moment is that this half has flown quicker than I realised. It's only in the 39th minute. Parkinson will get his hands on his team soon. And frankly, if we go in at 1-0, I'll be fairly satisfied with that, the way this half's gone. Cleworth stands at the big diagonal. Palmer battling, takes it down well on his chest, hooks it on, but beyond Butherson. When the ball's in the air like that and we're finding Palmer and Butherson, they are winning a good percentage, but we're not really getting the midfielders up around them. Cuts down the percentage chances of Palmer finding someone. Here he is again, unlucky, he nodded it down onto Connolly's head as again Butherson was running off him. And the ball's cleared once more. Scar up against Mutton, who pins him, holds it up brilliantly under pressure from O'Connor as well, and then lifts a great ball down the flank. Collar, first time cross, mishit, and into the crowd behind. Still 1-0 to Stockport, 40th minute. Wrexham not really asking questions at the moment though.
No, it's brilliant striker play from Carl Wotton. I was, bigging up Ollie Palmer and Budvarsson at the start of this game, but I think Wotton's done really well in that position as well. And to be fair, I'd expect a little bit more strength from Dan Scar and Tom O'Connor to make sure in that 2v1 he's not coming out on top.
Long goal kick, and it's well won by Horsfall, beg your pardon. But then Dobson gives it away. Southam Hales misjudges and runs off the pitch. Still gets a round of applause from his fans because he's driving constantly down that flank when he gets it.
Yeah, just another one from Dobson, just a bit sloppy, just doesn't quite get that pass right. I thought he had a few of them against Mansfield last Saturday as well, and he's so integral to this team, especially in that transition, that he can break those lines like Elliot Lee and Andy Cannon as well. And I think that pass is so important to get that right, and you can sort of get past this Stockport defence so many times, and I think just at the moment he's not quite finding that ball, and that's causing us a few problems then the other end, because it gives Stockport the chance to counter.
Yeah, absolutely. Our midfield are not hanging on to it enough. Cleworth has a bit of space, comes through the middle, looks to be measuring a diagonal, decides to keep the ball moving instead. O'Connor, snappy pass down the line to Lee on the left, inside to McLean, who pops it back, that's better. Dobson straight back to O'Connor. Wrexham starting to move it around, 1 and 2 touch passes. On the halfway line, O'Connor again shapes to go long, finds McLean. McLean tugged at by Collar, carries on. Wrexham, well, good to have a bit of possession for me. Dobson now under pressure, turns beautifully away from Collar. Now can he be progressive? He works the ball into O'Connor on the left. O'Connor's got Buthers on it, asking for it early, finds Lee instead, who just hits it a bit but still manages to keep possession. Rolls it into the edge of the area. Palmer, good hold of play, finds McLean. First time cross, looking for Barnett beyond the far post. He jumps with Rydell. They both miss it, but Cannon will keep it in. Good early ball to Barnett. He turns into the box. Cleworth's inside him. Doesn't fancy that pass. Goes outside to Cannon. Nice little bit of footwork. Bates is battling with him. Barnett now on the right flank. Will have to come back into midfield. Dobson's pass is charged down. Cleworth makes a tackle, but Wotton's back there defending. Dobson dispossesses him, but can't keep hold of it. And it's driven long. Nobody up front for Stockport. But that was better for my money from Wrexham. Okay, we didn't really hurt them, but at least we're living in their half for a bit.
Yeah, much better, and it just comes from the fact we're not hoofing it, basically. None of the strikers are in a position to receive it over the top, so we just keep hold of it and move across from side to side, and almost get an opportunity to cross it in. Stockport actually defended it very well.
Long ball forced by McLean. Palmer's unlucky, took it on the chest, tried to turn his man, couldn't get there, and then Lee is penalised for a foul. Stockport free kick in their own half, right hand side.
I think just important as well to make sure we don't get frustrated. To me, that looks like a bit of a frustration tackle from Elliot Lee, where he's just sort of pushed him in the back, gives away a bit of a cheap foul. And I think, you've got so much time left in this game. We've just seen a passage of play where Wrexham have been able to hold on to the ball and almost cause Stockport a bit of an issue. So, there's no panic. I think that'll be something that's spoke about at half-time, especially only being 1-0 down.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, if you can keep it at 1-0, I'll be satisfied, so at least we're in the game and we can improve in the second half. Here's a chip forwards by Pye. Wootton flicks it on dangerously, and Burton does well again, because the pace of Rydell made something of that flick, and Burton had to save it his feet and put it behind for another corner. Their pace down the flanks is scary, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where all the clear-cut opportunities are coming from. I think Wrexham just sort of switch off for, a small matter of time, but that's all it takes for Louis Barry to come alive and really take advantage of that.
So, corner left-hand side. Barry is available on the short corner, but it doesn't look like he's going to be used. Ball swept into the far post. Burton gets a punch on it. Lee helps it on. Bate brings it down, feeds it back to Southern Hales, but Lee has managed to force a back pass all the way to Hinchcliffe. He stands up a big diagonal. Wootton again against Cleworth, does well to nod it down, but it only falls to Dobson. Quick ball to Lee. Now Wrexham have a chance to break here. Quickly helped on again to McLean on the halfway line, left hand side. He stands up the diagonal. Oh, it's a poor pass that. Headed away easily by Rydell, and the chance is gone now. Stockport may break. Wootton again holding her up really well. Ball played wide to Barry. Good first touch as takes him away from Cannon as he looks for space. He goes back in the end, but Stockport have got Wrexham camped in their own half once more. Pye goes past Boverson. Nice little disguised pass. Did Cannon? Yeah, the referee's going to give a foul. He said Cannon blocked Pye off the ball, and Cannon will get booked for that. Not sure whether it was intentional or whether it was Pye being cute and running into Cannon. He certainly stayed down a long time, and once the yellow card came out, was up fine and fully functioning.
Yeah, I've just seen it back, and it looks intentional. And I was speaking about that sort of frustration. It sort of again looks like one of them where you're just thinking, just don't give away anything stupid. We're just about to go into half time. It's not a bad area for a set piece for Stockport.
Ball swept in towards the penalty spot and headed wide. Got it well, did Horsfall, but couldn't wrap his head around the ball enough. There's 1 minute of added time. We've only got 20 seconds left of that now if the ref blows up on time. And Wrexham haven't really hurt Stockport at all, and that's a major concern. We need to improve from this, as Burton decides, after faking to play it in one direction, to take the goal kick from the other side. And to me, that tells me that he'd be quite happy to come in now and let Phil Parkinson inspire the team. So Burton with the goal kick, and the referee lives up to the cliche and blows while the ball's in the air. Stockport fans clapping, quite rightly. They've dominated that first half. Wrexham, the first 5 minutes got at them, and since then they've lived in our half really. Haven't made that many chances, but having said that, they've looked capable, and they have that precious lead for that brilliant goal by Louis Barry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Stockport and Dave Challoner will be delighted with that first half. I think Wrexham, we've seen it a number of times now in the last few games where first 5 minutes or so we come out of the blocks really strong, really high intensity, straight away putting pressure on the opposition back line, and then sort of let the opposition come back into the game, which is fine. I think that's the game plan. You can absolutely do that, but obviously now being 1-0 down, you've got to change that a little bit to have any effect on the game, and I think that'll be interesting to see the second half now. Obviously we've got someone like Paul Mullin on the bench. At what point does he get that nod to get on, and do you adjust your system? I don't think Phil Parkinson does, because I think he has a way he plays and he'll stick to that. But in a game of I think this is a big game. You're looking now at next few weeks heading into Christmas. You want to be going into those periods in good form, and I think this is a real opportunity away from home to get a real good result and sort of use the momentum off that. But it'll be interesting to see what's said at half time. But I don't think too much needs to change. I think you can sort of see what we're trying to do. It's just making sure we're not at times rushing it, which I think we have done. I think getting Elliot Lee and Andy Cannon on the ball a bit more and making sure they're not just forcing that ball over the top is so important. And George Dobson as well, I think he's had, again, I mentioned it previously, a few balls he's just got a bit wrong, and he's actually done the harder bit first, which makes it that little bit more frustrating when he actually beats his man and then just makes that wrong decision with the pass. But the potential's there. We know how good this Wrexham side is. We know they can hurt this Stockport team. We saw that in the first 5 minutes. The quality of Ollie Palmer and Budvarsson. So the opportunity is definitely there, and it only being 1-0 after a good few Stockport opportunities. That's credit to Callum Burton first and foremost for me, and also the defensive shape, which at times has had a few gaps, but in the most part I think it's looked pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely. We can play better than this, and we must. And Phil Parkinson needs to make the correct adjustments. There's also that one little unknown to throw into the mix of how many minutes do the wing backs have in their legs. So Stockport, Macaulay Hales and Rydell are remarkable, really, to put them both in their last league game last Saturday for their first start of the season after very long-term injuries. Both of them their first starts of the season. And it'll be interesting to see just how many minutes they've got in their legs and how fresh they can be. There's certainly, there's no let up with them at the moment. They look very good up and down that flank, and they're causing all sorts of problems, keeping the width, and they look quick as well. But, maybe they'll tire. Can we get at them when they have to replace them, perhaps?
Yeah, and that's something probably the first half you'd point out as saying we didn't really get out, and we didn't see Ryan Barnett, James McLean out wide too many times in an attacking point of view. And one thing that is a bit worrying is obviously now we've got to go for the game and try and get that goal. And Ryan Barnett, when he has pushed forward at times, it has left a lot of space for Louis Barry. And I think Rydell has actually done really well in sort of making that overlapping run and sort of forcing Max to have a 2-on-1, which is really dangerous, especially when you look at the quality of someone like Louis Barry and Rydell, who's equally a very good player. So that's a bit of a worry going forward. But you've got to commit in these games, and I think Ryan Barnett will be definitely looking to get more of the ball in this second half, because he's the real danger man. I mean, he's the one you pick out in this Wrexham side at the moment who's doing the business when we go forward. And when you haven't got strikers necessarily in goal scoring form and you have to look to your wing back, then it's not the best of signs. It's not the most encouraging, but that's what you have to do in football. Goals sort of come and go. I'm really hoping Budvarsson can maybe nick one today. He's had we obviously had that little bicycle kick opportunity at the start, but that's about it. I just want to see him and Ollie Palmer in them more goal scoring opportunities going into the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of scope to improve. Well, let's have a little look at the Ask Wrexham questions. I want to stop thinking about that first half for a couple of minutes, if it's okay. Although I've got to say, on Blue Sky, they're more optimistic than I was. Optimistic. They see it more positively. Christina's saying Burton's been terrific today. Arthur being out felt like the end of the world, but he stepped up brilliantly. I mean, we did have that situation, didn't we, where Rob Lainton got injured and Ben Foster was brought in, and you sort of thought, okay, maybe that's. I must admit, at the time, I thought maybe that breaks Mark Howard, because bless him, he's waiting for his chance. He's a good professional, and then he isn't given that opportunity. I think, to be fair, it wasn't so much that. It's just if you get a chance to bring in someone of Foster's quality, you grab hold of that opportunity. But if we look at that in terms of who you trust as your backup, I really don't think Parkinson would have any concerns with Burton playing. He has brought him in with an eye to being a player who can make an impact at this level if he's required, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's been brilliant so far this game. I think Stockport haven't had too many necessarily clear-cut opportunities, but when they've almost had them half chances, like the one that little 1v1 versus Louis Barry, you sort of fancy Louis Barry in that situation just because he's just scored a goal. The pace he almost looks like he's going to get there before Callum Burton, but again he does really well to make himself big. The one off the court, the free kick, does really well. The goal, he can't do much about that one. It's just pure quality, and yeah. But even going back last few games, like you said, I thought the Sheffield United game was a real moment of sort of realisation, the quality we've got behind Arthur now. I know he conceded 4 that night, but like you said earlier, Mark, none of them were his fault. He saved a penalty that night as well. I thought he really impressed, and he will have known coming in that he would have been number 2. Mark Howard would have known that as well, and I think it's obviously we've had a number of injuries now. They're sort of stacking up, but that goes to show why that recruitment had to be done over the summer, and why you've got to build that squad depth, because it can catch you out so easily. And I think having that strong squad behind you, and Phil Parkinson, fair play, him and the staff, they've built that. It does look really strong, and it looks like that's what you need in this league to survive.
Yeah, Absolutely, and we have terrific strength and depth. And apart from the fact that someone of the experience of Mark Howard, and we saw what he did at Port Vale on Tuesday, we got him as third choice. And then we've also loaned out Luke McNicholas, who, for my money, he looks like a real prospect. I really, really like the look of him. So we got plenty of quality in depth. And I think I mentioned actually in the last match that Elliot Jones, the youth keeper, I've only seen him once, but I like the cut of his jib. He was a confident lad, wanted to deal with things rather than leave it to his defenders. Big, nice build for a keeper, tall, muscular. I like the look of him as well. Gretchen Wood on Arse Wrexham, quite rightly, is saying that Burton got some good game time in the Bristol Streets trophies. Yeah, it's good just to keep them ticking over. It can be tricky to come into the team after a long layoff for any position, but their goalkeepers sometimes can be a bit discombobulated, shall we say. I remember Christian Dibble, who I always thought did a very good job for us. Ooh. That's not good. It's just connection on. Right, I obviously don't want to go off the Wi-Fi if I can avoid it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and our connection to this. Has it gone on?
Let's go.
Have you got Wi-Fi still?
Yeah, using this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, still got it. Oh, it's gone.
It's gone.
That's gone now, yeah.
Colin.
Now it's back.
Colin. Wi-Fi seems to have gone down. This has gone down as well. Seems like I think everyone's having that. You've got down on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Can't see what it is. They are in the tight though.
Right, so
My Wi-Fi's just gone back up.
But even when he's coming out to the left, Max is taking it, but then Ryan Dell's running over. Ryan Barton's trying to push forward, so Max is 2 on 1.
it sounds like it's gone off. They're calling their IT looking at it.
Dobson's well, the whole midfield have done that. It's just like, don't even look up, like Elliot Lee had one in here.
Well,
It's just,
I'm going to try and pull it, but
it's like, no, exactly, yeah. It started well. First 5, and then, yeah.
There's some Villa fans watching today. They're like, bring you back. It's not. Premier League finishing, isn't it? Villa's like head of recruitment, isn't it? Yeah, that's different. Yeah. Basically not, innit? Sorry, mate. Yeah. Scoreboard on the other side of the board. So that people know what's going on, and then it seems to be picking up my. Your hot's not picking up. What's that?
He said, have you unplugged it and plugged it back in to see if it works?
Why are they saying they've got something to it?
You never know.
Oh, so they haven't done it.
Where's the cable?
It's I'd asked them to check and said it's okay.
Got it working?
Excuse me, mate, has he got the Wi-Fi working? Has he got it working?
Check it apparently.
Oh, right.
Might as well commentate for welcome to Wrexham this week.
Yeah.
And I'll just have to sit on our hands really, I'll just keep listening out if something's happening.
What is that? What is PGM?
And PGM is what we're trying to connect to. Well, oh right. Okay.
We'll get going and I'll dial in. Well, welcome back. If you're listening live, you can't hear me because we have had a big tech outage here, but we are on the way and we're told that hopefully we'll have some form of connection soon as Wrexham, after a not the strongest first half performance, have now got to look to recover. Ball over the top of Wrexham's defence immediately. Scar got a touch, so he couldn't run it behind for the goal kick. Has to hook it away for a throw by the corner flag. Wrexham need to step things up in the second half, no two ways about it. But they have to survive this first. Corner, right hand side, which Norwood will take. Wrexham have everyone back defending. As Norwood signals, rips in an away swinger. Headed to goal just over. That was a great contact. Just over the bar from around the penalty spot. And Pye there could easily made it 2 straight away.
Yeah, great start to the second half for Stockport. It's like you say, Mark, it's Pye who gets the header, really clean contact. Probably will be disappointed not to get it on target. So it's a really strong header from a really nice corner in from Ollie Norwood.
So Stockport immediately on the front foot. Can Wrexham show what they've got in them? Bolversund as well to switch the ball across. It's fed back into the centre circle. And neat work by Dobson, who I feel maybe has to just start to deliver a little bit more in terms of hurting Stockport. Lee, that's a good ball to O'Connor. Oh, unlucky. Just had it nicked away from him. Good work defensively. as the ball is eventually driven away by the man who denied him, Connolly. But that was promising, at least.
Yeah, that's so often how we hurt teams, when that one of them back three step forwards, usually the ones on either side. This time it's Tom O'Connor steps forward, creates a bit of space, finds himself in a bit of room. Elliot Lee does find him, he just can't quite wrap his foot around the ball and get a hold of it.
And for those of you watching, we've managed to dial back in. So sorry about that. There appears to have been a big IT outage at the ground. Wi-Fi dropped off, our line dropped out. Now, we've connected by tethering to... the Wi-Fi's come back on. I mean, I'm very wary of doing the commentary on Wi-Fi, but even though it's only for the press, I hope it can carry the commentary, that's all I'm saying. So fingers crossed that we won't drop out again, but I wouldn't be amazed if we do, I've got to be honest. Got to be frank. Poor Rich from the leader next to me is having an absolute nightmare. The internet just won't talk to his laptop. It's disgusting, isn't it? Honestly, you come to England, these backwaters. Burton knocks it long. Budva's on backing in. Good, powerful header, clear though by Horsfall. And now Barry, who had a chance to go at Cleworth, who kept his balance well and got his foot in. Throw to Stockport, left hand side. Taken quickly. Here's Bate again. Dobson intervenes and feeds again. Pass forwards that was rushed and too early. Didn't have to try and hit Budva's and surely as soon as that.
Yeah, I think it's so easy in these sort of games to sort of question your strikers, and you sort of see no goals on the doors just as Stockport break forward. Really nice touch by
Southern Hales. Great defending that to get it clear from the edge 6-yard box. But still they come. Bate turning it round the corner. Helped on a bit further by Barry, who drops off. He wants to receive it in space. Riddell runs at his man, then does use Barry. And he feeds it across Norwood, can help it on once more, and does to Connolly. It's all passing across the front of our defence, but Stockport have got the players who can then suddenly strike. Connolly out wide again. Southern Hales inside, well read. O'Connor intercepts after a poor touch by Norwood. But at the moment, the pattern feels like the first half, doesn't it?
Yeah, Stockport have come out and sort of continued what they were doing, and I was just saying, I think it's quite easy in games like this to sort of criticise your strikers, but if they're not getting that service, it's so difficult for them to get into the game and really make that impact. And I think particularly as that first half got to its conclusion, Ollie Palmer and Budvarsson sort of scratching their head thinking, how do we actually get into this game if we're not going to receive the ball?
Wrexham breaking away. Stockport furious. They felt it was a foul. I think the ref was going to book Collar for diving, but he's played on. Now here's McLean on the left. Thinks about standing it up for Budvarsson, and lets Lee take over. Lee on the left-hand side. Taking on his man. Stockport got back behind the ball now. For me, it was a dive by Collar, and the referee clearly was going to penalise him and then played advantage.
Yeah, I think Stockport fans thought he put his whistle to his mouth to blow for the foul, and then he's obviously taken it away, played advantage, and to them it looks like he's just changed his mind, when in reality he's just let the play go on. Thus
far, he's been very good. As Lee, neat little ball to Palmer, back round the corner to McLean, good run by Budvarsson. And McLean hits it down the flank. Budvarsson will keep this in, and he pulls it back. He's looking for a pass into Dobson, doesn't find him. McLean wins it back, drills across to the far post. Barnett beaten to it by Riddell, but Barnett gets it, the loose ball out wide. Better from Wrexham. Cleworth, nice idea playing it for Barnett. Crunching tackle stops him, throw by the corner back to Wrexham. Bit more like it.
Yeah, nice play by Wrexham. It's a really good run by Budvarsson. I thought at first he might have been offside, but linesman keeps his flag down, does well to get to the ball, just can't, the ball into the box doesn't have quite enough on it.
Barnett rips it in, and it's flicked wide in the near post by Budvarsson. First time Barnett, since the first 5 minutes, has been able to get into threatening positions as well. That's more like it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he does well to beat his man, get that ball into the box, and it's in a good spot for Budvarsson, but I think he's just too close to that near post, can't quite hook the ball round to get it on target, but a chance for Wrexham. That's something we didn't say too much in the first half.
You're not wrong. I've just written down my first Wrexham attack from my notes. So, Stockport still 1 goal up. Wrestling match between Scar and Wotton. The ref does nothing either way, probably thinks it's 6-1 and half a dozen on the other, which means Wotton did remarkably well with a little balletic swish of his foot up behind the back of his head to backheel it into midfield to a teammate. Here's Bates now, 40 yards out, but under good pressure. has to go back. Yeah, Wrexham going to be snapping at Stockport a bit earlier as the ball's played down the flank, and it's well intercepted again by Scar. Barnett with a bit of a wild hoik into the middle of the pitch, and Lee was flattened there, wasn't he? Ref doesn't give it. And the ball is now picked up by Stockport. Good burst again by Barry down the left channel, and the shot, good save by Burton. Oh my God, Barry's a step above this level and he's brilliant.
Yeah, he keeps finding himself in those little pockets, and Wrexham just can't quite decide what to do with him. They don't want to go man for man because it'll drag someone out of that shape, but he's just getting in those little spaces. I think just maybe George Dobson or Andy Cannon on that side just maybe needs to think about just getting a bit closer to him and not allowing him to get that much space out wide. He does really well again, gets the shot off, really good save by Callum Burton to push it out for the corner.
So, an in-swinger. And there's a big crowd of Stockport players round the penalty spot. The referee's having a word with McLean and with Pye, the man he's marking, as the ball is swept into the near post, punched away by Burton. It'll come back in. Southern Hales tries and succeeds in going past Lee. Actually, Lee recovers well, force him to go backwards. Bate drilling it in. Scar heads it away. They'll go for a throw level the edge of the Wrexham area, right hand side. And Wrexham again having to sustain pressure. So there's no real rush for Stockport. Connolly eventually wanders up to take. Stockport fans have been in good voice since the goal. Ball played back to Connolly, who thrashes it into the goal mouth. Scar, I think, just got a head on it to flick it partly away. Barry tees it up on the flank, and good work to get there by Cleworth ahead of Rydell, throw into Stockport in midfield.
Yeah, Rydell again getting on that overlap, getting around Louis Barry to make sure they double up. And it's just well played Max Cleworth in that situation, just keeps his eye on the ball really well and makes sure he absolutely sends it out the stand.
Callum Burton, though, busy in the second half as well. We wouldn't have wanted him to be this busy in the debut, as Stockport lift the ball to the edge of Wrexham area. O'Connor makes it his, heads it to Lee. Lee in his own half. Back to O'Connor. It's not the kindest ball, really, especially when McLean then runs across his path and he thrashes it out of play. Probably the best O'Connor could do, frankly. Yeah,
again, I think Elliot Lee's actually got time to turn and open himself up a bit. I think just, does he not get that shout from the people around him? I'm not sure. But, just looks to go back, and like you say, it doesn't really do him any favours. It's in the middle of Tom O'Connor, James McLean, and it ends up, giving the ball back to Stockport, and they're in, our half in a bit of a dangerous position.
Throw in taken, but Connolly wastes it. Throw to Wrexham level edge, our own left-hand side. Yeah, but you can see down below us Phil Parks and Steve Park in a deep in conversation on the sides of the pitch. They must be thinking, okay, the change we wanted hasn't come after the break. What do we do now? As Scar is turned and has to hack it out of play for a throw-in. Callum Burton hopping on his toes, annoyed he didn't get the back pass. Throw then 30 yards out.
Yeah, that probably comes from, when you've had a few of them over the top and you've been beaten for pace, you're just thinking, right, I'm just going to play it safe, not be sorry. But again, it's one of them, you just think, let's try and keep hold of the ball, let's trust your keeper. Trust your keeper on the ball. Callum Burton has had a really good game so far in terms of shot stopping. I haven't seen him too much footwork wise, but again, it just gives Stockport that ball back and no real release for Wrexham.
Wrexham win it back from the throw-in. James McLean running into a crowd, does well, draws players to him and finds Lee back into our own area to O'Connor, and he goes long looking for Budvarsson. Horsfall gets well to adjust his position and win it. First touch by Cannon is good, and he drives for two Stockport players breaking down the left hand side. Silver Hales recovers. Cannon cuts inside, good ball inside to Dobson, who tries to flicker on first time. His passing range is just not right. He's given away. It's a difficult thing he was trying, but it's not too many moves of stopping when it comes to Dobson.
Yeah, you can see exactly what he's trying to do, but I just don't think it's on. I think in that situation, Andy Cannon's done so well to keep that ball over that side. Just gives it to Dobson. Just take a touch. Just get on the ball. Just get the simple passes done, and then you can sort of work them into your play after you've done a few of the easier ones.
Yeah, absolutely is. Cannon, I think, is a little unlucky to give away a free kick there, which is taken quickly. And now Collar has it. He was waiting, looking over his shoulder for McLean to arrive and make contact, and Well, McLean obliged and gives away the free kick. The Stockport fans all cheer because they think the rest going for yellow cards, but he's going for his spray for the free kick, of course. So no yellow card for McLean.
No, it's so frustrating to watch from a Wrexham point of view, though. You see Collar, he looks over his shoulder, like you say, Mark. He knows exactly where McLean is, knows exactly what McLean's going to do, and gets the foul to go with it. And it's just, for James McLean, I think he's just got to be a bit smarter there. He's got a man behind him, you sort of trust him. But Stockport free kick.
And it's swept in towards the penalty spot dangerously, drops loose, crucially Cannon's there first to clear. Botherson's herring after this, and Connolly manages to get there first. The ball played back to the keeper. But yeah, it was frustrating, both those free kicks. I'm not sure if Cannon made much contact, but no one make sure that the referee saw he got any. And then McLean just walked straight into the trap. Again, not that much contact, but yeah, having turned around, looked where McLean is, you'd hope he wouldn't, oblige. As it is, Cannon's won it back, and Bothersson does well to keep the ball in, but it'll be reached first by Horsfall, and he thumps it into the crowd. The Wrexham fans along the side of the pitch on the right-hand side as Wrexham are attacking, and they're seeing very little to get excited by.
Yeah, just on that Stockport free kick, it's a really nice ball in from Ollie Norwood again. I think he's been really good this game, just real quality. And it's unlucky from a Stockport point of view that it just doesn't fall. Andy Cannon does well to keep his eye on it and get it, away from that goal as far as he can.
Nice little pass by Cleworth, allows O'Connor a bit of space on the left-hand side. McLean down the line, asking a lot of Palmer. Again, his shirt's being pulled. He's managed to win a throw-in. I mean, I'm saying the shirt's clearly being pulled, but then it's on the blind side of the ref, to be fair, and Palmer's probably doing the same. As Wrexham, from the throw-in, recirculates it round the back. Dobson feeding it wide on the right-hand side. Barnett lifts it in early, too early, looking for Bothersson. Easily headed clear. And then driven long over the top, but Scar will get there first and controls his header to Barnett on the halfway line, right on the touchline. Down the line to Bothersson, who takes that neatly, wins the throw-in. Barnett wants to take it quickly, but nobody's ready really at the moment, so he holds on to it. Barnett. The problem now is not much movement. Cannon has come short. Barnett's still waiting for someone to offer. Bothersson does. And by the corner flag, he scraps away. Doesn't quite win the corner. Ball smashed out by Rydell for another throw to Wrexham in a similar area. Barnett to take it. So, again, Cannon short. This time he receives it back to Barnett. What can he do? Level the edge of the box, changes feet and gets tackled rather easily by Bates. Ball played up to Wotton on his own up front, but again he holds it up and gets support. Ball fed down the left-hand side, and there's real danger here on Cleworth, who does well. Gets it back to Burton under pressure. He has to put out a play for a throw-in. They're just sharper than a Stockport, chasing the ball down. They look like they're liable to get there. They look like a good side, Stockport, and we haven't really stepped up to it, have we?
No, I think you pointed out first half, Mark, that they're winning that first and second ball, and it's just given them that little bit of an advantage when they go forward that's really costing us. I just think that midfield battle at the moment is all Stockport, which is really a problem for Wrexham. But I just think when we go forward, we've just got to be that little bit more careful on the ball. It's just like we're constantly looking to force it.
Bates takes a clearance from Scar beautifully. Barry helps it on. Rydell takes a touch. He's got Barnett isolated. Corner of the box, feeds it in. Headed partly away by Dobson. Shot comes in, deflected wide. It was a powerful strike, that, by Southern Hales. But Lee got the block in, and it goes for the corner. But yeah, we just... there have been a few players you've been mentioning for Stockport and saying they're playing well, and that's the issue, isn't it? A number of them look good. There was a spell near the end of the half when we kept the ball for a bit. Wotton came back to help, and all he could do was thump it back to us in our half. And I thought, I want to see that a lot more. Let's get the ball down, move it around, force them to drop off, and then they'll do what we do, clear it back to us. Corner comes in and carries to the penalty spot, a flat one, headed partly clear by Palmer, and a long-range shot is a very optimistic effort by Bates while off target. Yeah, I just want to see us get the ball down, move it about. Well, we're going to do something, triple change. So let's see what happens here. Mullin, O'Connell are both ready to come on, and Rathbone. I can understand why we are taking the drastic action, to be honest, Mia.
Yeah, to be honest, I think Stockport worked us out after about, I don't know, maybe even 5 minutes that early. But yeah, I think they've sort of worked out what we're trying to do, and we're not really causing them many issues. And a change needs to be made in that scenario. You know, different legs, different ideas, and I'm hoping, you know, Paul Mullin, Ollie Palmer, that combination we can sort of see some things from them that so far this season we haven't got to see, that we know so well, and we know what they can do. And Owen O'Connell as well coming on, as well as Ollie Rathbone. I think we'll be looking to maybe win that physical battle a bit more at the back against Kyle Wootton, who you have to say against Dan Scarr was having much better, much more of the ball and winning them battles.
Yeah, so Mullin on for Butherson, O'Connell on for Scarr, Rathbone on for Cannon. Here's Barnett now on the right-hand side, feeds it back. Not the best pass to Rathbone, and Rathbone gives it away. And now Wrexham are immediately under pressure. Good driving run through the middle. Lee slides in. He says he got the ball. The referee says yellow card. Well, it was a terrific run from left to right across the middle of the pitch. Lee went to ground. I don't know. I'm not sure if he made contact or not, to be honest, but Collar stayed down, made sure they sent the message to the ref. And a free kick just outside shooting range, you'd say, in the middle. I'm interested with O'Connell on for Scarr. I wonder if it's a sign that Parkinson wants us to use the ball better, because Scarr, you know, doesn't tend to look to play out from the back. He tends to look to clear his lines. Wonder if that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, that's probably the one that surprised me. I wouldn't have changed the back three, really. I think they've caused us a few problems, but, you know, nothing necessarily from any of the back three's mistakes.
Bates sweeps it in, nodded away, well defended, and then hooked on further. It'll come back in. Rathbone, who cleared it, just nearly managed to latch onto the ball after Bates over-touched it. But now here is Bates, fed in by Norwood. Good interception by Dobson, and a good pass by Rathbone. Now Wrexham can break here. Lee in the middle, thinks about playing it off, but instead plays the more hopeful option and gives it away. Ball driven clear. O'Connor now under pressure from Collar, goes back to Burton, who feeds it calmly back to O'Connor. O'Connor drives it long. Palmer backing into Connolly. Can't jump because he's being held, and Mullin's running, wins a throw-in. He's demanding a replacement ball quickly as well, but only Palmer's kept up with him. Throws it back to McLean. McLean comes narrow, squares. Rathbone now 30 yards out. Dobson, O'Connor on the overlap. It's fed to Mullin, wide on the left, and he chips in early. That's a good ball, and Palmer can't quite reach it. I mean, it's a difficult ball to play, curling it in towards the keeper, but he put the right weight on it and nearly dropped it right in front of Palmer in front of goal.
Yeah, good, really good quality of ball from Paul Mullin. I think he'll be coming on and really be, you know, he'll be right up for this sort of game. You know, having been dropped in from the starting 11, he'll be thinking, right, okay, I need to really, you know, put a bit of a show on then to get back into this starting 11 for the weeks coming forward.
As Cleworth goes on a great surge forwards, but plays the ball in behind Mullin. Yeah, he's just clinging on to these little moments of hope, and maybe one will go Wrexham's way. Good header by O'Connell to get the ball clear. The ball drops in midfield. Bates hits it against a Wrexham body, and Wrexham have it back as Lee comes driving forwards, sweeps it wide to the left-hand side. McLean is tackled. Ball drops for O'Connor. McLean's gone bursting down the flank. O'Connor goes inside. Dobson in midfield, feeding it back. O'Connell working it wide. O'Connor. Wrexham fans making good noise as it's fed down the line. That's a nice idea for McLean. First time cross. Palmer can't quite reach it. It ricochets off a defender and will be cleared eventually by Connolly. Well, not cleared, that's the point. He passes it neatly out. But that's a bad ball out by Collar though. Dobson punches it straight back in. Lee battling against two defenders. Oh, that's a very harsh free kick against him. I've got to say, he's last 10 minutes he's given a couple of soft ones to Stockport there, and I don't think Lee did much wrong. Just lean on Southern Hills there for my money.
Yeah, Southern Wales, he knows what he's doing in that position. It's quite a risk because, like you say, Mark, I don't think there was too much in it, and it would have been a real opportunity for Wrexham, but a lot more promise in the last few minutes since Mullin's come on. He's already had a few touches on the ball, had some real good movement at the top of that pitch. So positive signs for Wrexham.
Stockport then looking to start out from the back, but those substitutions seem to have just shaken things up a bit. As Stockport go along and get a throw, left-hand side. It'll be taken eventually by Pye. Ball fed into midfield, Bates laying it back off. Wrexham pushing Stockport back into their own half. As again, the Wrexham fans continue to make noise on the halfway line. It's turned round the corner neatly by Bates. For Bates, rather. Plays the big diagonal and gets it right. Now Southern Wales has got McLean isolated. Decides not to go at him. Wrexham's midfield again, a drop deep. And that allows space for Norwood to drop a hell of a pass in behind Barnett. Barry goes down. I think the referee rightly ignores that. Barry didn't go down till he got in the box. He didn't get a decision. Palmer flicks on the clearance. As here's a premature thing. One of the lead stories on Twitter is Louis Barry's early strike secures victory for Stockport against Wrexham. Well, let's see if that's right, as McLean lifts a good ball down the line from Mullin, who's holding his man off. Pye's got his hands all over him. Mullin stays on his feet, back to McLean, lifts an early one in. Palmer wrestling, nods it down, but behind the onrushing Dobson. Wrexham got a bit more about us now. Poor clearance, Cleworth intercepts well, goes surging to the edge of the area, drills a shot, well blocked. It spins out wide, Barnett. If only we could get him purring. He fed it back well to Dobson, but this is good from Wrexham. Cleworth high up the pitch. Barnett now swings in the cross. It's a nasty one, and the keeper paws it behind, stretching over his head for the corner. Wrexham fans encouraged.
Yeah, much better from Wrexham, just finding a little bit of momentum in this game. Stockport just couldn't quite clear their lines. It opened up for Max Cleworth, who I think was probably having a go on goal from the way he set up to strike it. Just can't quite find, the ball can't quite find its way into the box. Good block from the Stockport defence, but corner for Wrexham.
So an in-swinger, ripped under the bar and headed, the keeper managed to get his hands to it. Well, Lee nearly scored direct. Dobson rips it back in, headed clear. Now can they break? No. Good foot in by Rathbone. Flag goes up for offside against Wrexham when that cross came in. But again, those ripped corners by Wrexham cause problems.
Yeah, it shows, when we do push forward and get those set-piece opportunities, we can be a real threat. I just think on that sort of second phase, Elliot Lee had made he was still out wide from the corner initially, and George Dobson just goes inside and takes the inside option and forces that ball back into the box when, as we see from the offside, players hadn't quite, returned to an onside position. Could he have just used Elliot Lee in that situation?
Lovely skill by Barnett to Remenders take sprinting towards his own goal. But although he played an accurate pass, Wrexham have given it away in their own half. It's squared by Norwood. Now it's Bates, left-hand side. They're just building patiently through midfield. Trying to probe and pull Wrexham out of position, and it's picked up nicely by Bates, who's driving forwards and prods a great ball. Wotton's onside, chips Burton, and it's what a good save again by Burton. Just got enough on it to put it into the side netting.
Yeah, it's a really good move from Stockport again. Lewis Bates does really well, just drives into that heart of the Wrexham defence and opens us up really. And it's a really nice run from Wotton in behind. And Callum Bird, again, we've said his name far too many times for my liking in this game, but he's rescued us a number of times now. Really good save by him. And Tom O'Connor, I think, had just got back onto the line, so maybe if it was on target would have cleared it, but great save.
Here comes the in-swinging corner with height to the far post, and it's headed behind for a goal kick by Horsfall. Yeah, I don't think we need to have too much of a discussion about who the man of the match is for Wrexham. Burton rather, has been terrific. Wrexham looking to pass out from a short goal kick. O'Connor now. Stockport allow O'Connor to come out, and he stands up the diagonal looking for Palmer. It's well won in the air by Pye. Throw to Wrexham. Taken quickly. Cleworth now in his own half. This game was flown by for me. There's only 19 minutes left. I feel like I've only just sat down. O'Connor has got McLean outside him. Tanto Olafe is about to come on for Stockport. He only scored the 3 against us here at Edgeley Park last season. O'Connell, break ball to Lee. He's in the crowded area. He's done well to get out of it. Rathbone works it back to Cleworth. Dobson again to Lee, floating centrally between the line. They let him turn. He helps it on. O'Connor's got McLean in acres of space. Now McLean takes a touch. Hits it with the outside of his foot to the far post. Free header. Oh, and it's wide. Oh, what a chance that was. It's Elliot Lee, completely unmarked. He had to stretch to get on top of it, but wow. That was a real moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, so much better from Wrexham. With starting to really put our foot down on the gas and cause Stockport a few more issues. I thought James McLean had actually slowed it down a bit too much and delayed that cross, but he does really well to outside the foot, just digs it out. And Elliot Lee, you sort of think he's jumped really well. It's a really good leap, and I thought it was just going to nestle in the bottom left corner, but just wide. So unlucky for Wrexham as we're up to make another change. Ollie Palmer coming off for Mo Farl.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Farl is a tricky customer, of course. He's unorthodox, but he can cause people problems. So he and Mullin up front now for Wrexham. Palmer, for me, has put in a very good shift. He's battled hard against good centre-backs. And, yeah, now Farl. Let's see if he can make an impact, as the referee's not happy where the goal kick was taken from. It's only 17 minutes left. Without a chance that was down for Elliot Lee. Couldn't just quite control his header.
Yeah, I think, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that passage of play all sort of stems from a little direct ball into Elliot Lee in the middle and just opens up Stockport, just getting between the lines, and that's something we haven't done so much this game, and you can see it there how much of a threat it causes.
Wrexham with a free kick in midfield from the eventual free kick taken by Stockport. And it's taken early over the top by O'Connell. Mullin chasing this, offside given. It's a shame because he brought it down beautifully. He's not happy. And he tells the linesman so. Nice idea.
Yeah, I think that's what in games like this is them marginal bits where you just need to sort of catch out Stockport when, I think it's a bit more of an even game now than it was. I think they were on top for majority of this game, but Wrexham have come back into it. But nice idea, really nice execution of the ball from Tom O'Connor, and I think Paul Mullin just maybe does go a bit too early. Stockport defence steps up well and catches him off.
Yeah, since the substitutions, Wrexham are asking questions. Lee is playing more behind the strikers as well. We've got more. He's getting into central little positions, which is promising. Ball not long and well dealt with by Barnett, who gets touched twice and then lets it go over his head. Throw to Wrexham. Cluith is immediately on it, looking for options. Throws down the line for Farl. He helps it on. Mullin under a lot of pressure, can't quite find Farl. Wrexham screaming for handball. They don't get it. And then O'Connell flattens Olafe. Olafe came on for Barry, which is some respite for us at least. But Wrexham now have to defend a free kick from midfield, and we've seen Bates and Norwood put good balls in from this sort of area. So it's played backwards, in fact, to the halfway line. Horsfall, who didn't go up for it. None of the centre-backs went up for it. They're happy to just take some time out of the game. Connolly dinks it forwards, well read and intercepted by Lee, who finds McLean. Back to Lee, 3 men on him. He lifts it down the line. Farl, nice chest down to McLean. It's all in Wrexham's half. But you wonder if Wrexham can find a pass to take these Stockport players who are pressing off out of the game. Well, Wrexham move around to the back and that chance is gone. But a good ball out from the back by O'Connell. Sends Cluith forwards and he tries to play the ball down the channel for Mullin. Doesn't get it right. Decent idea. And a good run again by Mullin. As Stockport knock it down the flank for Olafe to chase, but it's gone out of play and back in again. Throw to Wrexham.
Yeah, it was much better by Wrexham on his left-hand side. It sort of looks like they're in a bit of trouble, but they do really well to stay composed and play out, and in the end, obviously, win back the ball.
Throw in taken. Back to O'Connell. And he squares it across now. O'Connor has McLean outside him. O'Connor again. Wrexham again just looking to pull Stockport out. Will they look for a ball over the top then, or just to keep moving it, which I think they should do personally. O'Connor looks, Mullin's made a run. O'Connor looks to feed him, and again we give the ball back too easily. And that, we're a bit too married to that, I think.
I think something we've done better though this half, when we have gone long, is we've made sure we're on that second ball. Andy Cannon did it a few times, George Dobson's just done it there, and making sure that even if you don't win that first contact, straight on that second phase, you're still straight back at Stockport. I think that's something first half we weren't doing, so it's good to see us doing that this second half.
Yeah, it's a fair comment. We're getting higher up the pitch, aren't we? And we're able to fight for those second balls as O'Connell Sails past the Lafay to the halfway line. We know he likes to do this. Helps it wide to O'Connor. Good ball inside. Foul. Turns. Lee demands it. Gets it. And now he can work out to the right if he wants to. He does. Rathbone with Barnett outside him. Drives down the line. Finds Barnett, who cuts inside. Cleworth takes over. Barnett's gone inside him. Barnett may hit this. Gets on his right foot. He does hit it. It's blocked in front of the keeper. Wrexham starting to push Stockport back. Dobson, cute ball round the corner for foul. Good ball out to McLean. Dobson on the overlap. McLean comes inside and crosses with his right foot. Easy header clear. O'Connell is high up the pitch and he heads it intelligently square to McLean. This is good pressure from Wrexham. Stockport very, very deep. Their midfield standing on their defenders' toes as O'Connell again pings it to Lee. Mullen with the return ball after Lee dummies it. Out wide to Barnett. The Wrexham fans liking this. Barnett's got an overlap and he uses it. Now here's Cleworth. Pulls it back. Oh, and as it was swung at by Dobson, the defender just got a toe in and hacks it clear. So it's Rathbone who crossed her in. And Cleworth keeps it alive. Barnett driving inside, beats one man. Tries to play the killer ball. It's blocked, gets it back. Hits it. Good save by Hinchcliffe. Oh, much more like it. And Stockport are desperately calling their subs in to make changes.
Yeah, Stockport looking a little bit leggy now, just as Wrexham really turn it on. Perfect time of the game to start, playing particularly well. And it's really good sustained pressure from Wrexham, just want to get straight back on that ball and have another attack. It was Ollie Norwood, who got on the end of that initial cross and just takes it away from a striker's feet.
Yeah, that was a big interception. Dobson with a great chance. Here is Dobson again in the centre circle. Wrexham really pushing on now. 79th minute though, time's running out. Frantic activity on the Stockport bench. They don't like what they're seeing here. That's a good ball by O'Connell. His passing has made a difference. Rathbone driving forwards, is demanding it from McLean. He plays it inside instead. Foul. Good tackle by Norwood. Fouls up again to look to put pressure on Rathbone too. And there's a theatrical leap into the air by Southam Hales, and Rathbone gets a yellow. And I don't know, maybe it's my bias that a lot of these look like minimum contact, maximum play acting to me, I've got to be honest. I may be biased, just a little. It's 3 yellows all now, so at least we're level on something.
Yeah, it's not, to be fair, it's not a bad foul in that sort of situation. It's a good, Wrexham keeping that press on as soon as they lose it, making sure they try and, it's sort of that 7-second rule, making sure they try and get it back straight away. Ollie Rathbone, I think, looked very bright since he's come on. Good intensity, sort of really lifted that in that Wrexham midfield.
Long ball forwards for Lafay, well beaten in the air by O'Connell, and then an attempt to ping it out wide by Norwood. It's an extravagant strike. It's a shame there's nobody within 20 miles of it. Throws to Wrexham. It'll be Cleworth to take. We are almost into the last 10 minutes here. Throw down the line, foul beaten to it, drops in midfield. Rathbone just knows where his teammates should be and where there should be space and hooks it instantly to O'Connor. McLean now driving forwards from the halfway line. Cuts inside. Lee laying it off to O'Connor. Well, it's a pretty idea, but there was nobody there as he tried to work the triangle. And Stockport have it back. Hinchcliffe will knock it long. If it hits it a bit. Still drops on the halfway line, to be fair. And McLean heads it away. It's driven clear as Dobson was looking to pressure. Stockport have got 3 subs ready to come on. Here now is O'Connell. And again, will it be the 2 wing backs as 2 players coming off for them? Dobson helping it on. And now Wrexham back to Cleworth. Into the last 10 minutes. O'Connell again driving forwards, looking to be positive. Feeds a ball for Farl over the top, but it's intercepted well. Headed back by Pye, and Hinchcliffe's quick to get across. Stopper going for the corner. So can Wrexham get their momentum up? Well, as you say, they're looking a bit leggy, Stockport. Hinchcliffe taking his time. Hits it right-footed. O'Connell will make that his, brings it down and prods it forwards. Was he caught by collar? Yes, he was. Free kick. Dave Challoner goes nuts on the side of the pitch. So here come the changes then. And first to come on is Odin Bailey, on for Ollie Norwood, who's had a good game in the heart of things. Jaden Fevrier comes on for Macaulay Southern Hales. And Sean Rydell is replaced by Tayo Adaramola. And yeah, the wing backs have put in a good shift. They've got to the 82nd minute, and now they've both had to be rested. I mean, Fevrier played for Colchester last season, got a hell of a lot of assists, and was very quick and looked good against us. He's earned the move, and he's been a regular for most of the season. But here he is a sub now as Southern Hales fit again. He's gone on to the left-hand side. Sorry, the right-hand side. So free kick in midfield. Interested to see Norwood come off. But anyway, think about that in a second. The free kick's lofted at the edge of the area. Horsfall heads it away, but Rathbone keeps it alive, hooking it wide. Barnett scooping it back over his head. Has managed to hang on to possession under pressure, and now he's trying to drive inside. Being nibbled at it as well. Feeds it back to Dobson. Dobson 30 yards out, and every Stockport player in front between him and goal. Dobson again now. Sweeps the ball across the pitch, doesn't find the target. Volleyed away well by Fevrier for a throw-in. Deep in Wrexham, well, halfway up Wrexham's half. Lee takes quickly. O'Connor back to Burton as keeper. It's ironic they've got an enormous scoreboard here behind the goal that Wrexham are attacking, but this row we can't see it. You can only see the bottom third of the numbers, and I'm keeping the duck all the time to see how long's left. Wrexham are preparing another change as a ball down Iman McLean is sliced out for a throw by Wrexham about 20 yards out.
Well, Phil Parkinson was almost in the crowd then trying to retrieve the ball. I thought he was going to jump in.
Matty James is going to come on. Throw-in taken anyway. McLean stands at the edge of the area. Not a good cross, headed away easily. Barnett will keep it alive. Cleworth, there's a great run ahead of him by Rathbone. He works it wide instead. Rathbone still available. Barnett finds him. He's been covered now though, but Rathbone holds on to it. Works it back to Barnett. Barnett prods it. Poor pass. He doesn't find the target, and now Wrexham are having to race back as the ball's lifted over the top, and Olafe has no chance of reaching that. Throw is delayed, so Matty James can get on. And it's Dobson who will come off. He's not been himself, Dobson, today, really. It's got to be said.
No, and I think the moments where he has are the moments we've looked really promising, and that sort of shows how vital he is to this team at the moment. But just off the back of that, I think that was a real chance for Stockport actually to counter us then. If Olafe could bring that ball down, or if the ball was probably a bit better from Lewis Bate.
Here's Rathbone now, back to the halfway line. Matty James's first involvement. O'Connell to O'Connor on the left-hand side, halfway line. Poor touch by him, tackled by Olafe. Fevrier doesn't mess around, he thumps it into the crowd as McLean bears down on him. Phil Parkinson is saying to the fourth official, watch the time. They've wasted time, Stockport. They've stuck it in the crowd, but it comes back quite quickly, actually. Here's O'Connell. Cleworth on the halfway line. Again, as Barnett ahead of him. James takes over. O'Connell looking on the front foot, crosses the halfway line, works it wide to Barnett. Stockport working hard in midfield. That's a good ball by Cleworth down the flank. Now Barnett's got Adaramola isolated. Drives in an early cross. It's a poor one though. Easily dealt with and smashed clear. Cleworth does well to bring it down and find Rathbone. Down the line to Barnett. Neat header to Cleworth. Pokes it down the flank for the pace of Barnett. And again Adaramola this time has to go to ground. Good tackle. Throws to Wrexham.
Yeah, Adramola's only just come on and he's really being tested.
And here now is another cross into the Stockport goalmouth, chested behind awkwardly by Horsfall, took a deflection, span into the goalmouth, and Wrexham have a corner.
Yeah, just as I was saying, Adramola being tested, and Max Cleworth does really well to get past him and get that ball in. I thought it was Ryan Barnett at first, but it was Max Cleworth. And yeah, it's a really difficult one to defend at that height. You sort of kind of want your keeper to be in that situation, really, but does well in the end to put it out for the corner with his chest.
In swinger then, which O'Connor will take. Lee's last corner troubled Hinchcliffe. O'Connor sweeps to the near post and far beaten to it. McLean keeps it in, back to the corner taker O'Connor. He works it out. Barnett in time to set across, swings it into the crowd and it's misheaded. There's a clash of heads as well. The ref surely will have to, well, he's going to have a close look first. I'm not sure if he shouldn't just bring the physios on. It was headed wide from about 15 yards out. And the referee is saying the physios don't need to come on. I'm slightly surprised at that.
Yeah, well, Paul Mullin stayed down. In a game like this, you'd imagine if he was all right, he'd get straight back up. And obviously with the head injuries, you've got to be so careful. I just think, you know, it's always difficult just leaning on what a player says. A player will always want to carry on. But you've got to be so careful, and that's why the precautions have to be in place where, you know, I think if it's anything head, the doctor should probably be straight on the pitch.
And suddenly the ref changes his mind. I mean, this is poor officiating. I mean, a head injury, you get the physio on, you don't stand and talk. He had a long chat with Mullin. He waited as Mullin finally came up. He had a long chat again. I mean, no, it's a head injury. Get the physio on. That's very, very poor. Sort of slightly worrying, considering how important this is for player welfare. In the game against Cardiff Met, where Cardiff player took a blow to the head right in front of where I was commentating from, and she was not. You could see she was not right, and the referee was just wandering across, and the Cardiff physio was just standing there, and our physio told him get on the pitch. Quite rightly, it's a head injury. Never mind if the ref lets you on or not. It's a head injury. Get on there, and I was astonished at the ref and their physio for not immediately thinking that. But anyway, Williams off the pitch now, taking on some liquid. Goal kick is taken. Of course, Mullin will have to stay off for the 30 seconds. It's put out of play. McLean will take the throw on the halfway line.
Well, I've got to say, in these last few minutes when Wrexham have been on top, Stockport have really lost their composure on the ball, really struggling to keep a hold of it, a bit like Wrexham in the first half, really. You're just really hoping Wrexham get a really good clear-cut opportunity at the end of this game where maybe they can just nick a point.
Yeah, what a shame that we weren't able to put them under this sort of pressure earlier in the game, as Mullin is back on now. Wrexham have kept the ball. Barnett over the top, that's a hopeful one. Fowles chasing it, mind, but Hinchcliffe is always going to get there first. And does an extended Miebi finally get up. Yeah, I just wish we'd been able to get this going sooner. As just looking around, O'Connor has stepped into midfield. We've gone to the midfield diamonds. McLean jumping in the air, heads it square. O'Connor won't get to that. Olafe though can't hold on to it, and that's good work to bring it forwards by O'Connor. McLean chips over the top. Mullin chasing her. Fowles being pulled all over the place off the ball. Ball's played back in by James, but too hurriedly goes through to the keeper. You could see the temptation there, to be fair, with James, because Fowl was unmarked through the middle.
Yeah, I think when Matty James has looked up, Fowle's still making that run, so he's sort of thinking, right, I'm going to put a ball that he can maybe just get on the end of. And it's not a terrible ball. It's just Fowl stops his run, and it doesn't look great, but another sort of opportunity.
Again, Stockport on the right-hand side, get the throw in. But like you said, they are struggling to keep hold of the ball. Their passing fluency is gone to an extent. And Wrexham just need to get that ball down and move forwards. Only 4 minutes added time is applauded by the Stockport fans. There you go. Throw towards the corner flag, corner of the box rather. Wrexham win it back. Cleworth under pressure, drills it long to the halfway line. Foul just beaten to it. Ball's headed out. Oh, it isn't. Kept in well. But then the pass backwards is inaccurate until Olafe gets it. Goes past O'Connell, one-on-one to finish it. Burton saves again. Poor finish, it's got to be said. In fact, he nearly scored because he scuffed it so much. Burton was going down to his right and had to adjust to his left. But another one-on-one save by Burton. Wrexham having to take chances now. O'Connell was trying to get a red card, chopping him.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of have to in that situation. I think you sort of would expect Olafe to put that one in the back of the net. I think James McLean deserves a bit of a shout-out because he does really well to almost put him off. Works really hard to get back into that situation. And then, it's a poor finish in the end, but well done Callum Burton, keeping an eye on the ball.
Stockport win a free kick in midfield. And since the Mullin treatment, it has gone scrappy, which is massively in Stockport's favour, isn't it? Free kick after free kick, only 4 minutes to add on. And we already had 1 1/4 of those. Stockport fans making noise, looking to sing them home. It's Hinchcliffe taking all the time he can, understandably, stands up a big diagonal, puts it straight into the crowd. Throws Wrexham halfway up their own half. Cleworth takes it back to O'Connell. McLean now on the left, sets himself and he's chopped down by Olafe. That's a yellow card, is it? Yep. No real attempt to play the ball. Phil Parkinson telling the centre backs to get up. So O'Connor, we're wasting our own time here as O'Connor tries to steal a couple of yards. He's taking it from exactly the same place, and now is he going to get booked? Well, he isn't, but it's our time we're wasting. Did 2 yards make that much difference?
Well, I don't really see why the referee can't just leave his lino to sort that out and get in position, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can understand Tom O'Connor trying to get those extra few yards. Just in that situation, we're in a bit of a rush. Let's just get the ball in play again.
Oh, it's a poor free kick.
Well, I don't think he helps himself there, Mark. I'll be honest, I think by delaying it and getting frustrated with the ref, I think you're sort of causing your own problems. You sort of get in your head a bit, and it's a waste at the end of the day. I mean, what are we on, 92, 50 seconds? Hoping maybe one more opportunity if we can scrape one here.
Yeah, O'Connor just smashed that. He was angry, he just smashed it straight to the keeper. As Rathbone's trying to win it back in midfield, with Stockport chip it forwards, Bates towards Olafe. It'll carry through to the excellent Burton, who bowls it quickly out to McLean. McLean now, little step over, turns inside, well, he's going to have to shift this, and he does, square to Cleworth, who's in space. We've got 40 seconds left of the added time as Cleworth goes long, looking for Mullen, who's running in behind. Great cover by Connolly. Now then Barnett picks up the loose ball on the flank, pulls it back to Cleworth. Cleworth stands it up again, looking for O'Connor in the box. He's beaten to it, drops loose though. O'Connor will win it back on the left side of the area. He's looking for support. There isn't much, so he wins a throw-in 10 yards out. Frantic defended by Stockport, as O'Connor has the ball in his hands now. Mullins offering and receives it in the box, back to goal. McLean, chance to cross, rips the ball in. Wrexham player goes down in the box, doesn't ask for a foul, and now Stockport can break down the left hand side. Adaramola gets there first. He'll head for the corner flag, surely. We're over the 4 added minutes now, as Adaramola decides to cross and picks out a teammate. It's laid off. Will the shot come in? It does, and it's a brilliant save by Burton to finish it off. A magnificent performance by him, and that is the final whistle. Stockport County beats Wrexham with the final touch appropriately. Callum Burton tipping the ball over the bar, the best of a string of saves he's made. But I mean, ultimately, despite improving late in the game, we really can't complain about the scoreline.
No, I think that first half Stockport just put a really strong account out for themselves and looked a real good side, and in the end I think too little too late, I'm afraid, and we just, at the end of the day, I mean, you look back at that game, I can only think really of that Elliot Lee as a clear-cut opportunity. There wasn't many more, and that's where your issues sort of lie when you're not making those chances. How are you going to score the goals and put the ball in the back of the net? But full credit to Stockport. I thought they put a really good account out for themselves first half, really strong. Louis Barry, obviously that little bit of brilliance has won Stockport the game today, and Wrexham will be disappointed after a strong finish to the game, but that's football. You can't win all your games. I think positives to take, especially from those last 20 minutes or so where we have got back into the game and looked strong in possession, kept hold of the ball well. I thought the changes were the difference. Ollie Rathbone came on, worked hard. Owen O'Connell come on. It's not easy to come on as a defender in a game like this, but he came on, made a real difference. Was good on the ball, was able to step forward. But Callum Burton today, full credit to him. I think he's probably been our best player, which arguably says it all really for a 1-0 defeat away from home.
Absolutely correct. He was superb, wasn't he? That save right in the last moment was brilliant and probably his best, but he made a lot of good saves in a game which eventually was decided by Louis Barry's brilliant curling effort. Nothing Burton could do about that. Into the bottom corner. Referee being escorted in by the stewards, the Stockport fans.
And Phil Parkinson.
Right, well. It may just be they're escorting a conversation off the pitch, shall we say. But Stockport totally dominated the first half. Wrexham did not live up to our standards by any stretch of the imagination. Too many early balls over the top which are surrendering possession, too many panicked clearances. And as you said, Mia, the substitutions improved matters considerably. The big chance that we had, of course, was Elliot Lee with a free header from a cross by James McLean, but he put it wide as he headed it back across the keeper. Frustrating that for Wrexham, makes these 2 home games coming up feel very, very important now, just to get that rhythm going into Christmas.
Yeah, massively. You're sort of coming here today thinking, you know, after last season, which was a dreadful away day, thinking let's get something here, and you know, it could really give us a bit of a push going into the next few games, especially being obviously away from home. You know, our form away from home hasn't necessarily been of late, hasn't been too great, especially obviously with that Harrogate loss. But before that, I thought, you know, performances weren't too bad. I think this season we've looked all right away from home against some real top sides, and today, you know, it's sort of similar story to what we've seen in starting quick and then sort of dropping off. And like I say earlier, full credit to Stockport. I thought, you know, they had a real good few performances, particularly in that first half. But then second half, you're just thinking, you know, something's coming here. We're gonna get an opportunity to nick it and maybe get a point or more, and it just wouldn't quite fall to us. But like I say, a lot of positives to take. You know, you can't come away from this game with too many negatives. I think that'll only bring you down. And obviously going on to Saturday, Exeter at home now. This is what makes, you know, the Kairos so important for this football club. Making that a fortress, it makes these away games a lot less sort of meaningful in some ways when you do drop points, because of how many points we pick up at home, and that's why, you know, it's so good that we have that strength at the club. But yeah, disappointing one today, I think. But you know, frustrating more than anything. But you know, still some good things to take from it, and I think a lot of stuff to build on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Frustration for Wrexham, frustration for the 800 fans in the away end, who made plenty of noise but ultimately didn't get what they want. But Wrexham will pick up again in a week, and will be keen to make amends with the final score: Stockport County 1, Wrexham 0. We've been Mark Griffiths and Mia Roberts from Wrexham AFC.